Hello, brothers and sisters, everybody watching and tuning in. Welcome back to another episode of the Nee Divvies podcast. Today we've got a very special guest, all the way from London, Teddy Brazier. How are you, mate?
How you doing, bruv? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Really good. Pleasure to have you here, mate, and thank you for coming.
No worries. Pleasure to be here.
Before we get into the main topic of this podcast, which is you, let's talk a little bit about that fight in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. You first, bro, on you go.
Well, I think it was the fight of the night for sure. I think we got robbed by the main event. I think we said previous to this, them boys got well paid, and I think our fight was definitely fight of the night, and it would have been nice to see that bonus, but. You never know. They might let us do it again one day, hopefully, and give the fans what they want.
Yes, mate. Absolutely. First of all, I've got to thank you for giving us that fight. It takes two to make a fight like that.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely the hardest fight I've been involved in. Probably the best fight I've been involved in.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah, it was class, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Full credit, mate, to yourself, and who you are, your heart and will, but more so the training that you had, I think it's ideal for that format.
Yes.
The clinch game, I couldn't hold a candle to your clinch game, and that's your training, and my own mistake, I never done enough training on it, but I think it doesn't matter how much training I've done on it, you've got a lot more experience in that field than me.
Do you know what? That's something, I was out in Portugal, one of my best power, and he basically set the game plan for me. We sat down and spoke about it. He's well into his boxing, his MMA. He's like, if you stand there and box with him, he's going to ping your head off. But if you clinch him, that's, he said, it don't matter. Like, I've clinched him, he knows, do you know what I mean? Like, if you get someone clinching you, yourself now, it makes you feel like a baby because you're just not used to it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's obviously sort of what I was trying to exploit.
Yeah, I remember thinking in that clinch, which I don't like to do in a fight. I don't like to think. I think things should just happen for you, especially when you train. And when I'm punching, my punches just happen.
Well, that's how you knocked me out because you weren't thinking. It was like that deep fight, and
exactly, mate. But in the clinch, my brain was switched on. I'm thinking about which is the dominant position. Yeah. My training wasn't kicking in; it wasn't just happening. I was like, should my hand be here? Should my hand be there? Yeah. During which time I'm getting smashed to bits. Yeah. But the damage as well. I've never took that sort of damage
me neither,
in a fight.
Do you know what? I think we delivered on exactly what BKFC is about. Yeah. For me personally, the reason I went into this, obviously I retired from MMA. I was on the sofa, literally, big gut on me. Like, I weren't thinking of fighting at all. I wouldn't go back into MMA now unless the pay packet was, really worth it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't on the cards. And me and my missus were speaking about, I was saying, I wish I went through the whole Wembley thing, fighting in Wembley, fighting in the big stadiums with you. It's like one of them life experiences I wish to share with her.
Yeah.
And then that week I got a phone call. I spoke to Nick Chapman, actually. He was a good pal of mine. I helped him fight for his world title. Yeah. I trained, helped coach him for that. And he's now coaching. He's running the BKFC Thailand.
Okay, that's right.
So anyway, I spoke to him. He said, you interested in this fight, Wembley? Tough kid in 6 weeks, but la-di-da-da. I went through it. I said, yeah, let's go. And didn't even know your name, to be honest. Yeah. And I just thought, do you know what? Because there was no pressure, there's no stress. My career became so stressful and it became work. I was going into there super anxious. There was high expectations on me. I got some of the best coaches in the world, like Dan Hardy in my corner. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The money was massive, and obviously the more I get, the more they get. So there was a lot of pressure and expectation, and it just become too stressful. So I went into this when they called up, said, "Do you want to fight Wembley 6 weeks?" So, yes, I'd fight anyone because I wasn't going in there thinking I have to win. I just wanted to go in there and have the experience, and have the walkout in Wembley. And the stand and bang. Yeah. I didn't even know the rules, to be honest. Yeah. I thought it was BKB.
Yeah,
like literally just boxing with no knuckles.
Yeah,
with no gloves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was well up for it, and I got out of it exactly what I wanted. It was just an amazing. I opportunity, amazing experience. Do you know what I mean? And I enjoyed every second of it. I enjoyed that more than I enjoyed my whole MMA career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I could enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
and I give it 100%.
Yeah.
I had 6 weeks, 3 weeks before the fight, I had my a good friend of mine's funeral. So I was like, bang on the brandy, smoking all sorts, and I didn't give myself the best chance against you, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about that. I wasn't in there going, I want to make a career out of this. I need to smash this lad.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm going to go in there and give the best I could given the situation and enjoy it, and I did, and it was amazing. I got to thank you for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I
thought he was going to chat shit. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Nah.
I thought it's going to be like one, because obviously you Google and it's just that ag with that fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought, I'm just going to have to, get into that with him. And when it was respect, and I had done a little interview, and I thought, right, sweet, and I can just enjoy it. And thank you for that. So you brought it on the night, and we give everyone, and myself, and I know you was happy with the fight as well.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It was like you
perfect,
said,
really.
We delivered.
Yeah,
we delivered, and that is what it's all about. And especially to have, Dave Feldman, make the comments that he did after the fight, saying it's one of the best bare knuckle fights he's ever seen. That's a statement in itself.
Course,
it was a pleasure. I mean, it wasn't brilliant in there, taking them punches. Yeah. But looking back, it was definitely a pleasure, when two people share a moment like that, you even if you never see or speak to each other again, you're sort of intertwined forever in that moment, and it lives on.
We stood up and showed ourselves as men, do you know what I mean, as warriors to each other, and this day and age, people don't get to do that. They gob off in a pub and it's a fucking, do you know what I mean, like puffing their chest out and up. So, to share that as with another warrior is like, you say, it's something most people don't get to experience. Yeah,
I agree. I have to be honest, when your walkout tune come on, because I thought I was done with the nerves on the way there, and it was like, the champ is here. I'm like, fucking brilliant, you know what I mean? This is Bonnie, innit? You know what I mean? But after the first bell, I got over that. But the damage, like I say, definitely the most damage I've accumulated in a fight. Yeah. And damage is, especially when you're bleeding, it's like, I can sort of relate it to a little bit like when you're fatigued, because you get intermittent lapses in focus. Because you're injured, your brain's going onto your body, your brain's concentrating on your body instead of fully on the job at hand, so
that's weird, because I don't.
No?
Nah. I just go on.
Yeah.
Really weird. Like, my ear could have been falling off, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel anything, I didn't know. Do you know what I mean? And I just go on.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? And it's strange.
I can identify with that when I'm not bleeding as bad as I was. It was when it was coming into my eye, and that it's getting just that little split second.
Cool.
Split seconds is what it's all about in there. It's all in fractions of a second. And then the time I'm sort of mildly irritated from the damage that's going in my eye, and I'm I'm just getting them intermittent lapses in focus.
What I sort of felt was when I started getting hit, it was weird because it wasn't as bad as I thought. And it's not taking me hit like a steam train. You knocked me out. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but like when you get hit with MMA gloves, and I don't know, I'm not a boxer, but getting hit with MMA gloves is like blunt trauma, and you fucking feel it. Like you really feel it.
Yeah.
You watch the way Walter Gahad's hit me. I'm still feeling it now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But when you get hit with bare knuckle, you're getting hit, you're getting cut, but it's no. Yeah. It doesn't rattle your brain.
There's like a sharpness to it.
Yes, that's it. It's more snappy.
Yeah, and it's very superficial. It's always it's on the surface.
Yeah.
When you get rattled with a glove, your brain rattles inside the skull.
Yeah. And I think that's why I speak the way I speak nowadays. Do you know what I mean? I'm definitely slurred. And
well, you still
took its toll.
You still got all your faculties and that, mate. I never knew you before you started fighting, but you see some people.
I was better looking.
But some people are clearly punch drunk.
Yeah.
We spoke briefly about that just then. I want to get out of this game with all my faculties, mate, because. Yeah. Another couple of fights like that, mate, and who knows? It could change. There's
the way you think. There's not many people that give you a fight like that.
No, absolutely not. No, I
do you know what? There's not. I think something that I'd get excited if they let us do it again and had a proper camp.
Yes,
I would love that. Like 5 rounds of that fight, and I'd be like, I don't care how much anyone offers me after that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, because it's that's on the internet.
Yes,
I'm actually gutted. It's not on the internet at the moment, unless you. Well, it is on the internet, guys. Sign up to the BKFC app, and $4.99, and you get to watch it. But obviously, like for my kids in the future and stuff like that, that's online. Do you know what I mean? They go, right, my dad was a warrior, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like going out and having a
absolutely.
fight like that in Wembley, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
With another warrior, it's like...
We'll never say never, you know. I'm in it for another year.
Yeah.
If you want to get on the phone
Yeah.
to them, maybe sort something out.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You know, but I took away from that, you know, mainly, I didn't know you before that. I don't know you on a personal level, but, you know, the respect I had for you, for that, what we shared, you know, it just went through the roof. You know, it was a moment.
I think even instantly after when we was laid next to each other getting stitched up.
Laughing and that.
It was so, we were laughing. We was like, ow.
That was me first. I was whimpering, man.
Both of us making noises, getting stitched up like a pair of kids, do you know what I mean? But,
yes, mate.
you know, listen, it was good.
Yeah. So, any immediate thoughts about fighting in the future on the BKFC? Not at present?
I've sort of been on to him recently. I just said, I don't want to have 18 months off or a year off. I think I've got a fight left on my contract, but I said they need to let me know now.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I'm settling. You know what I mean? I'm settling down and not getting any younger. And I love seeing my kids and that. And even a fight camp, like if I was to do another fight camp, I would do a proper fight camp, and that is all day, every day. Because you come home, you're knackered, you eat, you need your sleep, you need your recovery.
Yeah.
And that takes away from your family life, and
yes, it does.
I'm not willing to give that up for a long time.
Yeah.
I'd like to have one real good fight,
Uh-huh.
and that'd be me, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, regardless of your age and, you know, how you think, I think you could do really well in it purely because it's that MMA background.
Yeah.
You know, these MMA lads seem to do the best in BKFC because of that clinch work, because of the, you know, the training, not only your heart, and, you know, you hit very hard, by the way. For me, it was the unpredictability. I've shared the gym and the ring with boxers all my life. But these MMA lads like yourself, they don't throw punches like a boxer. They come on different angles and different trajectories. Yeah. They're harder to predict, that, you know, and you were very unpredictable, slippery little nuisance.
To be honest, I think that's me as a fighter anyway, to be honest. And like, you can ask my striking coach that, because he gets it. I throw shots that he's not even holding up sometimes. Like I'm quite unpredictable and stuff like that. But you are right. The BKFC format is the best fighting style. Do you know what I mean? Because you're getting it all. You would have beat the head off me in the first round in BKB if I couldn't have clinched her. Do you know what I mean? But closing that distance and making it more into a fight, and that's what people want to see.
Of course it is.
People don't want to see stopping every 2 seconds like boxing or BKB. BKFC format is the best fighting format around at the moment. And like I said earlier on, and the reason I don't want to do or like MMA anymore is because people play to the rules. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like this is proper warrior fighting.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. It's about as primal and as gangster as you can get with combat sports, you know.
If you think you're a man, jump in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, big time, mate. Right, moving on, bro. Yeah. You know, as I've said, it's a pleasure to have you here, you know, and I know you're well recognised and well known in the MMA world, and I know that. But, you know, we do get a lot of a bit of diversity of followers, you know, on this channel. You know, I'm very fortunate and grateful to have the numbers, you know, that I get. And you know, I want your story. You know, you go as deep or as shallow as you like. You know, we'll stick to my usual format, which is loose. But you know, we'll start as I usually start. How was your childhood? Where were you born? You know, associates, relationships with your parents. You know, take us up to sort of school and any sports you might have been in.
Yeah. So I grew up like in a little village, really, just outside London. It's inside the M25, but country, do you know what I mean? 3 siblings, 2 older, 1 younger. And it's sort of my childhood, really, is primarily bad. In terms of, I was really tight with my mum, and my mum done her best at the time. And the era then, you know, like I'm 36 now, it was times when people were skint. Do you know what I mean? Like working class or working class. My mum used to carry 10 shopping bags in each hand, fucking walking home from the greengrocers. Do you know what I mean? That sort of era where men, like my dad used to work at 5 in the morning till 1, straight down the boozer, pissed until he comes home, straight back at work in the morning. So, do you know what I mean? Proper alcoholic. And then, become quite violent and stuff like that between me and my dad. Like my older siblings had moved out, and I was in when my dad sort of was at his worst. I was about 10, 11, I'm guessing. And my younger brother was too young, if that made sense. So basically, I just got all his bullshit. Do you know what I mean? All his feeling, and then obviously my mum stuck up for me and was getting it as well. Or like if my mum was getting it, I'd stick up for her, and that's why me and my mum become so tight.
Yeah.
And we had like a very special relationship. I would just be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Like she would do anything for me. Do you know what I mean? And then in front of other people. And then when their backs were turned, she'd slap me around the head. Do you know what I mean? She was proper.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like, I had some, real bad times growing up, and it violent and stuff. I ended up chinning my dad when I was like 13, and like knocked him down. He come back like charged, obviously fucking on the devil's downdraft and pissed out of his head. And my parents were living in separate rooms at that stage, and I remember hearing him kick her door down. I went in there and I tried fronting him. And I just remember he come for me and I went boom and knocked him down. I was fucking like, I can see that. Like, I was buzzing. And he just got back up. And I thought, fuck, you can't kick someone down like that. I remember hitting him with a mirror. It went like full on, just like bad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Bad violence. Kids shouldn't see that shit.
Yeah.
My older brother ended up getting called and come round sorting it out. Anyway, so shortly after that, they got divorced. I moved out when I was 15. Sort of left my mum to it. I left school when I was young, so I grew up like the older lot. I grew up really, really fast, if that makes sense. So like when I was 15, I was hanging around with 20-year-olds, so I was getting up to all sorts of mischief. And then just disclosing, I don't know what to disclose and what not to disclose.
Yeah.
I got in a bit of bother and stuff when I was younger. I was on the way to court, and it didn't look good for me. And my mum said to me, she said, promise me if you get away with this, you'll change your life, you'll sort it out. I said, yeah, I'll promise. I thought, I'm just going to do a stretch. Mm-hmm. And it got thrown out for whatever reason. And the next day I went up to Wembley Careers office and went and joined the army. That was it, and fucking sorted my life out.
Yeah.
Left everything behind. I'm talking burners, everything, like they're worth money. Like I just left everything behind.
Yeah.
And when I joined the army, I had a kid at that time. I met a girl after a couple of weeks. She got pregnant, like, typical, like something Jeremy Cole shit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't let me see the kids. And she would always, I'll get you in this bother. Do you know what I mean? She had shit against me, basically. So anyway, I went and joined the army, sorted my life out. And, spent 8 years in the army, done Afghanistan, had another kid. And then... I got medically discharged after Op Herrick 13. We had a real bad tour, and it basically fucked my head up, if I'm honest. Yeah. Cutting a long story short, and I was just never the same again. Got medically. They told me to go down the medical office in the army, and I sat and had a half-hour conversation with a fella, and he went, "You're never going to an army barracks ever again." That was it. So my life, I was set on like, now I'm off the streets. Fucking proper good job. Everyone respects me. I was walking around London in your uniform. You get that element of like self-worth. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what. Look, I'm sure some psychiatrists will go, look, I need what's the word? I don't know how to explain it, but gratification or like obviously never got it from my upbringing from a child. So I was always looking for people to be like, oh, you're amazing. You're so amazing.
Yeah. I know
what's that film? Moana. You're so amazing.
I get you, mate.
I craved that feeling, and I got that in the army. Do you know what I mean? And I could do what I sort of, listen, soldiers are recruited from the worst places in the country for a reason, because you're that sort of person inclined. Do you know what I mean? You'll kick a compound door down, you go in there and do the business. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Do it on the streets, you're doing fucking life in prison. The government pay you to do it though. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you can sort of have that like real exciting lifestyle and like high adrenaline and stuff. I was a paratrooper, fucking jumping out of planes and shit. And then when I got medically discharged, I was like, what do I do now? Yeah. What, go back fucking hanging around with them lot? Because they're still doing exactly the same shit with the ones that are on the outside. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I just didn't know what to do. And I walked in, I was proper angry. I was fuming. I didn't know what to do. A real bad relationship, because that's the other thing, when I was in the army, I could stay away from her. So basically, if I weren't with her, she wouldn't let me see my kids. But if I was with her, I could see my kids. So Monday to Friday, I'd stay in the barracks and just come home at the weekend, sleep on the sofa with my kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's how I played it for years. And then, so everything, my world just fucking fell to pieces. I walked into a gym in Windsor and I interrupted an MMA class with Dean Ammerzinger, who's now head coach at UFC PI in China.
Yeah.
And he went, "You right, mate?" I said, "Yeah, I want to fight." And you can imagine a class full of like fucking MMA blokes, and he just laughed like, what do you mean? I was like, "Oh, you know, I want to learn how to fight." And this is like, whatever, I trained from like Monday to Friday, and there was an interclub on the Saturday, and I signed up to it, and he just laughed like, "What are you doing? Like, you've done like 4 classes, and you're signing up to do an interclub fight." And I turned up on the Saturday, had 2 fights, so 2 blokes. One of them was a Muay Thai fight. I'd been doing it 7 years, just stuck it on him. And the other geezer, James Reedman, good friend of mine now, he's like arm-barring me, choking me. I was like, "Get him off me. What is going on?" Like, I hadn't experienced any of that shit.
Yeah.
And as I walked out the ring, Dean just went, "What you done in there, I can't teach." And he's coached the best in the world. He said, "What you done in there, I can't teach." He said, "I can teach you skill, but I can't teach you that, like meaning your heart." And that was it. Gym every day. I was like 3 years later, I was Bama world champion.
And had you done any
Nothing.
boxing? Nothing.
I've never done
apart from a few scrapes here and
literally
there.
what I just told you is my life. Literally,
Yeah.
like there's nothing else in between. I didn't do any sports. Didn't like football. I don't like team sports. I don't like people.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I've never done anything.
So do you think the army and the paras like
Just the mindset, and I grew up on the streets. I could fucking fight, and I had to defend myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know a lot of that's heart.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely. Which you can't
You
teach,
step at me, I don't care
obviously.
how skilled you are. I'm not. You're gonna have to kill me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
if you come with my family.
Yeah.
So you add a bit of skill to that, and like I said, within a few years, I was Bama world champion. Well, I was like British champion. Then I become welterweight world champion. Then lightweight world champion. All within 3 fights in a year.
Yeah.
And then I got signed to Bellator. Cut too much weight. Had real bad weight cuts. Lost. I won 2 out of 5 fights for Bellator. I thought, fuck this.
We're flying through this stuff here, mate. I want to get to that MMA bit in a minute. If you don't mind, I want to talk a little bit about your time in the army. If that's all right. You go as deep or as shallow as you want.
Yeah.
So did you join, because I'm not familiar with this, did you join a normal regiment first and then go to the paras? Tell me how it works.
Yeah. So I joined because I based my life around, I've done some bad things and I've been a bad person, do you know what I mean? And I like to I've got kids now, and that basically what I'm trying to get at is like that's one good thing I can do is be a good dad, right? Yeah. So when I joined the army and stuff like that, I wanted to be as close as possible, which is the regiment in Windsor, which was the Irish Guards. So I joined the Irish Guards, but it was a lot of ceremonial and fucking, like the bearskin hats and all that, which I wouldn't, I'd do again. I loved it. I'd done the Queen's birthday parade. I've met the Queen, I've met fucking Harry, I've done all that shit.
Yeah.
But then it just got like too much, and they're like hoity-toity people. Like they're sitting there for hours shining their boots, and I'm like, fucking what? Like, that's not a bit of me.
So what did you want more? Do you want some action?
Yeah, so basically there's a Guards para platoon. So there's 5 Guards regiments with 1,000, 1,200 people in or whatever, and then 30 people get picked out of all them to go and join this one platoon in the paras. So it's probably the most elite fucking platoon in the British Army.
Yeah.
And I went and joined them, and then that's where I stayed. That's where I went to Afghan with and all that. So, yeah. I say I'm a para. I'm from the paras because that's where I went to Afghan with and all that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's where my heart is. Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about Afghan. I understand it's fetched its own trauma. Over time, but how did you find it over there? As a man, honestly,
it wasn't my better.
No.
I'll tell you that for nothing. Do you know what? It's my brain has got like a coping mechanism of like, especially when I'm younger, I can't remember a lot of stuff, like a lot of cut off. So, and it's the same out there really. As I don't even know what to say really.
Yeah,
it's fucked. Like there's a picture of me sitting in Camp Bastion. So you're right. You fly to Afghan. You sit in Camp Bastion, which is probably like the safest place, safer than fucking London. It's in the middle of it's a city in the middle of a desert, so they can see 360 degrees. There's no one can get in or out unless they're allowed. Yeah. So you fly into there and you're sitting there for like 5 days buzzing, going like, we're going to war, boys. Like, we've got weapons, live rounds, live grenades. Like, this is fucking sick, right? And you're sitting there all smiles on your faces and that. Bro, we got dropped off in a Chinook, and when you start hearing doof, doof, and you're like, what's that? And they're like, oh, that's us getting shot at. And you're like, what? Yeah, and then like all of a sudden you're fucking doing some tactical drop, fucking like grabbing all the stuff off the DZ, which is drop zone, running into some geezer's compound. They live there. This is ours, mate. Fuck off. There's a fucking $100. Go move in with your cousin, and fucking that's you. And then you got to fortify it, fight out of it. There's loads of fighting when you first get there because they're like, who are you? We were fighting in a place called Nadi Ali North, which is in Helmand province. And if you look it up and if you know your shit, like, if you say to anyone in the army that's been to Afghan, yeah, that's where we was, they're like,
yeah,
fair play.
Hot zone.
Yeah, it weren't nice. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you can imagine what went on out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, mate.
And a lot of stuff with like kids that were same age as my kids, and that's what done me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, look, if you're a man and you got a gun, you're fair game.
Yeah.
But you start bringing kids and women into it, that just fried my brain.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. Haunts me to this day.
And is this what led up to the discharge? Had you had enough? You know, had you got back on?
I didn't know. Like, I just come back and I just wasn't the soldier I went. Yeah. I'd like to look at myself as a super soldier before I went. I was like, I'm going to 2-2. I was like, I want to be on the next selection, which is like to see whether you're good enough to be in the SAS. Mm-hmm. And then obviously that happened, and yeah, just fucking
yeah. So you come back and you started fighting post military career then, yeah? Yeah. So you had these couple of fights you've just mentioned. Tell me about, you know, how the journey took off from there. You know, give me some.
Well, really, so. I don't feel I haven't told many people this. Yeah, so basically, Dean Amazinga was my coach. He's like, look, he knows his shit. He's like, you got to win 5 amateur fights before you go pro. So he was almost like managing us and coaching us from the start. You got to win 5. If you can't win 5 amateur fights, there's no point being a fucking pro, right?
So what's the criteria there? What if you win 5 in 12? Is that enough?
No, 5 straight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I won 5 straight, but never had a war.
Right.
And he's like, you've had easy fights. Well, not easy fights, but I just went in there and absolutely fucking wrecked people.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was drinking a bit of Robinson's juice at the time as well. And and fucking, I was just on the next level. I was like running through people. Uh-huh. And then he like, look, I've got nothing to lose. My career's over. And he knew, and he basically said, look, if you win on juice up to a certain stage, you're going to become pro where they start testing, yeah? So then you've got to come off of juice.
Yeah.
So you need to know you're good enough without it. So then there's an element of coming off it and having a proper fight. And my last fight as amateur was completely off of juice, and it was a war. I went 3 rounds with him, and it was an absolute war. His brother started on me in the cage after 3 rounds, so it's all kicking off. I was like, proper.
Was that down to your opponent then, do you think, or did you think because your body was being more depleted because you weren't taking what you were taking?
The opponent.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's psychological aspects. There's loads of aspects to it, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that happened. Then I went pro, and my first pro fight, I fought a geezer that had 27 professional fights. and I just had so much self-belief. And Dean had so much belief in me. He was just like, fuck it. I was wrecking people in the gym that have been doing it years. And I've been doing it a year, if that. Do you know what I mean? And I went in there and beat him up in the first round. Wow. I fucking couldn't believe it. And then, so I had like 4 fights like that. And I was in Vegas.
What, just running through them?
Yeah, just running through like pros, middleweight and welterweight.
What took up most of your training? I can tell you've done a bit of wrestling and grappling, you know. But I'm on
Dean's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Dean's a wrestling coach, so he taught us. That's what British people can't wrestle. Yeah. So if you can wrestle, that's why I was running through everyone.
Yeah.
Mate, I was just double legging everyone, boom, on your head. Once I'm on top of you, you ain't getting out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on you.
Yeah.
And that's how I was winning all my fights, like absolute savage. And then I was in Vegas and I got a phone call and said, do you want to fight in 3 weeks? And I was like, yeah. Anyway, so get Shah Hussein. I was like, yeah, cool. And I Googled it, and I was like, what? He'd fought my coach and had a war with him. I thought, what? And I spoke to them, and they're like, yeah, this is your first proper fight, trust me.
Yeah.
He was a bit older. He was like late 30s.
How old were you at this point?
24 or 20, no. 27, 28 maybe.
Right.
I'm bad with dates and times.
Yeah.
But miles on the clock, I'd only been doing it 2 minutes. And he'd fought everyone. He's one of them. You know what I mean? He's like, Shah, I was saying to Google him, he's like, he's an actor now, I think. But anyway, yeah, so I flew back, had a war with him, just beat him up, just give it to him. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, you're ready now. Do you know what I mean?
So what, you're like 6-0 at this point?
I was 5-1, I think, like that.
Yeah.
I rung up, I was fighting a geezer, Darren Hessian, weight category above I was supposed to be fighting. And I rung up and said, I'm ill, I'm shit, I'm literally like, and they're like, you got to be here, what are you doing? Put it on me like that. And I turned up and just fucking, it didn't go anywhere. It was like
which organisation was this initially?
Shock and Awe.
Yeah.
It was like just a smaller show, not many people know. And I fought Shah Hussein on Lion Fight Championship. That was for the belt, I think. And then after that, that's when I started fighting for Bama. Because they thought, that's when they noticed it. They thought, all right, you're beating veterans.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I fought Izzy Bangwala, right? And the kid weighed in. I remember it was in the NEC Birmingham, big weigh-in, press. I was like, it was on the, like they do the muscle weekends or whatever. But
the bodybuilding
stuff. It was on there, so that was like one of the things, like the weigh-ins for the, there's loads of people there and that.
Yeah.
And, he weighed in like 8 pound over. Huge a geezer was. What? You got to watch the fight. It's so funny. And I broke my rib in the warm-up. It's still there now, look, big old bulge. Broke my rib in the warm-up. And they're like, you got called off the fight. What you doing? And I remember Eddie Cohn, my jiu-jitsu coach, said, can you beat him in under a minute? I went, yes, coach. He went, go and do it then. And I just run at him. Throwing some mad punches. He was just like full flustered. I just jumped on his back, choked him out. And as soon as I got off him, just seen me hold me stomach. I was like, give me some ice. Yeah. And I think from then I started getting noticed.
Yeah.
Had some good fights after that.
Yeah.
And that's when Bama signed me. Free Arena in Dublin against Niklas Stoles.
Yeah.
Beat him, who's in the UFC now.
How many fights did you have in there before you got your first title shot in there? Because you snatched 2 titles in there, didn't you?
3.
Three titles.
Yeah, I got the British welterweight title of Walter Gahadza. Mm-hmm. I think I beat Izzy, and then I beat Niklas Stoles, who was with McGregor at the time and all that when he was training with them boys. And then I got Walter Gahadza for the British title. Beat him in the first round. So then they let me fight Alex Lahore, who was a really good friend of mine before that. Mm-hmm. So remember what we were saying about now we're speaking. Like many people post-fight don't get together and have a chat like on this level.
Yes, mate.
Alex hates me. It's like I've ruined his life.
Like, he was cool before that fight.
We were like best mates. We were going to Thailand, training together, sleeping in the same rooms. And I said to him, we were both I said, bro, when I got signed, he's been doing it years. So everyone looked down on me thinking he's never going to fight for a title because I was just that geezer just turned up and had a fight and everyone just thought, how's he winning?
You shared loads of rounds in the gym, obviously.
Hundreds, and I'd never beat him. I'd never won 1 minute with that man in the gym ever. Striking, jiu-jitsu, anything. Always beat me. I said to him, if I ever get a shot, I'm coming for the same title. And he was like, yeah, bro, yeah. He's a French African lad, so he's like, yeah. All like that, like laughing at me and that. I was like, right, I've put you on notice.
Yeah.
And then I won the British title, and I was fucking on the mic, all buzzing. Yeah. So like the Walter Gahadza fight, I was going to retire. I thought I'm out of my depth here. He was 16-1, and he should have won the one. He won that fight.
Yeah.
He just lost it on split decision. So I see him as like 16-1. Yeah. I thought they've fed me to the lions here. I'm definitely going to lose this fight. I'm done with it. I've done with my career. Blah blah blah. Went in there, fucking bashed him up in the first round, and I was absolutely buzzing. I was like, I'm coming for the fucking world title. I want it next. And I called out Nathan Jones, who was Nathan and Alex were going to fight. And I thought Nathan was going to win. So I was like, Nathan Jones, I'll fight you for the title, blah, blah, blah. And Alex knocks out Nathan Jones for the title. I was like, you got it, let's go. like how I speak to you, like we're both just sportsmen, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Press conference, he's fucking like holding his hand over the mic going, do you want me to out you, bruv? Do you want me to out you? Getting all like proper personal and that, like, because my the person I was with at the time was there, and he's like, oh, we've been all over the world together, so do you know what I mean? You could out me if you wanted to. And he was just being a proper prick like that. Yeah. And it got real nasty, And I went in and beat him up.
Do you think it was bothering him because of the, you'd come so far so fast, and maybe the attention that you were getting, and that, or was it a mix of things? Or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think some people see this whole fighting thing as a personal thing. They've got to be angry with each other to fight.
Yeah.
Well, that's not me. I just stay calm. I'm just doing it for the sport, for the money. Like, listen, if there's no money in it, I wouldn't be fighting. Yeah. Like, people go, I'll just do it for the love of fighting. Yeah. Go to the car park then, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, I have expected that from you when we were in the queue for the weigh-in at London. I didn't know what to say.
I'll be honest,
I'm going to be cockier now.
You looked a bit nervous.
I was a bit.
I thought that was that was something I could not exploit, but that was one of the things that was going to go in my favour. I thought, I've been in arenas, I know what to expect tonight. I remember my first time in an arena, and I was like, but you go one way or the other. You either shit it or you step up. And when you get it once, you obviously step up, right? Yeah. And I see you, and I thought, and that's why I said, oh, you're right, mate. Like, mate. I knew you was running late. Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
That was it. Yeah. And I remember thinking immediately, it's cool that.
But you see a lot of the fighters like that. All the decent lads, like MVPs like that, Jake Boswick, are all like, boys, like, nice, sweet. And we go beat each other.
You got all the corners facing each other. You can just see all the conversations going on between the fighters. You know what I mean? And it's nice. I liked it, mate. Respect for that, because I didn't know what to expect. The arena and the production was like nothing I've ever been a part of. You know what I mean?
Look, at the end of the day, if you're a dick and you get beat, you look like a dick. If you're alright and you get beat, everyone's like, sweet. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, mate. Yeah. Yes, mate. So tell me about this. The second title that you snatched, forget that, mate. That you don't, like,
Alex,
forget about it.
Yeah. So then after that, I just got greedy. I was Dean Amazinger is like the king of weight cuts. Everyone in the UFC, Bisping, Ross Pearson, Dan Hardy, all them boys. So Dean went to university. I don't know what he studied, but basically it was about like hormones, weight cutting, all this bullshit. He could cut anyone's weight to whatever you want safely, yeah. And if it weren't safe, he wouldn't do it. So he wouldn't let me cut weight. And I was like, I'm a lightweight. He's like, you're not a lightweight, you're a welterweight. Yeah. So when I won the welterweight title, I was like, I can make lightweight. He's like, okay, let's do this, right? So, and I think they filmed it. It was on the Lad Bible. Like 8 million people watched it, right?
Yeah, I watched that. I've seen it.
My sister on me, I was like, you could have warned me. I was like, warned you watch? Like, you're naked in it. I was like, was I? I was out of it, stood on the scales naked and shit. But so anyway, I cut to lightweight and fought Reece McKee, who's another in the UFC. And fucking just absolutely smothered him. And I thought, I'm a lightweight. This is amazing. I'm massive. Yeah. I weighed in at 70 kilos and fought him at like 84. Wow. Like, I was huge. Yeah.
How do you feel? There's I know different body types, different opinions, different people. Some people,
weight cuts will win or lose your fight.
Some people can do it really well, some people can't. But I hear a lot of people saying it's a double-edged sword,
Yes. Double-edged sword. In MMA, it's worth it. If you do it safely and you do it correct, it's worth it because it helps in wrestling. Yeah. In boxing, I don't think so much. Yeah. I think cutting weight is detrimental, 100%.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And this one I didn't. I think I just didn't eat the day before and I woke up on weight pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I fought Reece McKee and fucking was not easy. The kid's fucking nails, but I smothered him. And I thought I'm a lightweight, and because I was a lightweight, Bellator signed my contract at a lightweight. Yeah. So then I was a fucking lightweight, and it was just really bad. The weight cuts got worse and worse. Yeah. Bad and harder on my body.
What was your lifestyle like in between fights?
I was training all day, every day. Yeah. That's my life. Sorry, what I should have said is so MMA become my coping mechanism for my PTSD. Yeah. So obviously from getting discharged from the army and I was like fucking all sorts going on in my head. The doctors they were giving me were like some white collared fella sitting there going, I know how you feel. Fucking really? It looks like you ain't been out of this office, let alone fucking Afghan, you twat. So yeah, fucking, I'm lost now. I don't know what we're going on about.
No, we're on about that. You know your coping mechanism. I was asking about your lifestyle in between fights.
So basically, it become my coping mechanism, and anything. It's like being addicted. I had to be addicted to something, and I'm 100% focused on something. So I just train all day, every day. Yeah, it's my life. That was my life.
And wrestling, do you think that was your main discipline?
Not so much wrestling, grappling. So Dean obviously went and done a UFC thing, and then he introduced me to his coaches and a lot of people he knows. So Eddie Cohn become my jiu-jitsu coach. Now I'm a white belt officially, but like I can do bits on the mat and in jiu-jitsu from what he's taught me. He teaches a very like fighting style of jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense.
Aggressive type style.
Yeah, and then I met Eric Uresk, and that's what that tattoo is there. It's like his own grappling system. So he's like brown belt freestyle wrestling coach, black belt jiu-jitsu. He's an MMA fighter. Like he's got autism as well. Right. I hope you don't mind me saying that, but like on a very small level, but it makes him focus 100%. And he's like fucking like he knows everything. Do you know what I mean about grappling? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he teaches a mad grappling system. Like you watch the Reese fight and you just see it. It's just like flows. Yeah. Someone tries jiu-jitsu, like playing jiu-jitsu, you just wrestle them. If someone tries wrestling you just play jiu-jitsu. Do you know what I mean? It's like playing that game. So yeah, that big, and because I'm naturally strong, and big for my weight, it made sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Everything else obviously mixed in with the Muay Thai, boxing and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I'd go to Thailand. I love Thailand. But when I was in Thailand, I was training with him, wrestling. I wasn't going there Muay Thai. I train like, a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
But I've never really done boxing or Muay Thai, no.
Yeah.
Sure, striking was definitely my weakest area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with these weight cuts and that, you're saying, it was getting harder and harder on your body. When did you decide? When did it become apparent to you that you didn't either? Your body was telling you didn't want to do it anymore.
I'll tell you when it came apparent to me.
Yeah,
is my last fight in Bellator, France. It's the first legal MMA fight in France.
Yeah,
and I fought some kid, and I had like 10 kilos to cut, and all week we're in a French hotel, and all week we're eating in this hotel. We're going, there's no salt in this. I was like, this tastes too good. It's all tasting way too good. Turns out it was salted butter. And the chef's going, no salt, no salt, no salt. Salted butter. So I knew my weight cut was going to be hard. I had a real bad weight cut. All excuses aside, I went in there and I was doing really well. And I thought, I've got this kid. He tried kicking me. I just caught his kick. I swung for him. I skimmed his nose. I'm laughing at the kid. I'm like, I've fucking got you. Yeah. It's a matter of time until I get you. And he just done some mad Jack in the Box spring. Boom, kneed me in the head.
Yeah, I've watched that one.
Bruv, I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
Didn't know I had kids. Didn't know my name. Didn't know nothing. Yeah. I was gone. I was completely out of it. It was the worst feeling in the world. People were speaking French, but I couldn't figure out what country I was in. Like, it was scary. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I only do you know what? I didn't watch that fight back. I only watched that fight back when I was like on the running machine for our fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. Just didn't want to see me. I knew it was bad. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to see it. I said, no, I need to sort of focus. I need to face it.
Did you have like a fully fledged concussion after that?
I was fucked.
Big time.
Like, I was gone.
Yeah.
Memory loss and everything. And it ain't been right since. My speech now, I can feel it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets really bad.
Yeah, dangerous.
And I just thought, it ain't, look, no amount of money's worth your health. No amount of pride, no amount of like, and the pressure, the expectation. I had some of the best coaches in the world. The money was massive. Everyone was expecting so much out of me. I was putting pressure on myself. Do you know what I mean? I just thought, it's a job.
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable whatsoever.
Yeah.
And a job that you're risking your health for and you're getting paid that sort of, it's not worth it.
Obviously the variables in MMA, are they're endless.
Yeah.
But like you say, making a weight cut like that, someone who was good at it, to struggle with a weight cut, that's got to affect your punch tolerance, your resistance to taking.
Yes.
And you've mate, I seen it. It was a knee and a half.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But what I mean is,
my brain was dehydrated. They scanned
there's a chance you could have been able to continue, if you were in full health. Do you agree with that?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, when you're losing, I think the morning of the weigh-in, I cut 8 kilos. That's 8 kilos of water from your body.
Is that the one that I've seen that was quite a popular video? There was few people talking about it?
That was a fight in the UK. I can't remember who that was against.
Okay.
But yeah, I knew I could cut it. I knew I could cut that much. So I was like stressing, but I still cut it. And like I said, in the hospital, they said like your brain's dehydrated.
Yeah.
No wonder you fucking can't remember anything.
Yeah. When did you I know you say you still feel it now, but when did you start feeling you get that level of normality back from that concussion, Is take a while.
Few days.
Yeah.
Few days. And my brain was always hurting and stuff. And I went for a brain scan like 6 months later to make sure.
Yeah.
Because my memory was so bad. That's why I went for a brain scan. I was like, this
Yeah.
ain't right. I must have something on my brain.
Yeah.
And I went for a brain scan and they said, no, it looks okay. Mm-hmm. And then obviously cleared a brain scan to fight you.
Yeah.
Which didn't help. Fucking being hit in the side of the head by a steam train. I was like, thank you.
I can identify a little bit with that concussion. I've had one. I was about 18. I sparred with a real heavy kid and I got rattled. You know, I stayed on my feet. But I remember my mum pulling me when I got home. And I remember the old little tape cassettes. For whatever strange reason, I was trying to get that into a wallet. I was sat at home trying to don't ask me why. You know what I mean? My mum come over, she's like, what are you doing? And I was trying to put a cassette into like an old Mizuno wallet. And I don't know what I was doing, you know what I mean? But she's like, you're not well, you know what I mean? There's something not right. But that was the only time I've suffered
people don't realise.
bad concussion, you know. I was glad it never accumulated because it doesn't take many of them before you'll start becoming a different person. You know, you start losing track of your faculties and becoming, you know, something that you've never been due to the damage that
I think, like, we were talking about it before, obviously we turned the mics on, but to touch on it again, the reason BKFC, I like it so much is, it looks bad and looks, you know, you get a lot of superficial injuries and stuff like that, but I've been hit by MMA gloves and I'm telling you now, that rattles your brain.
Yeah.
And you know, not so much boxing, but obviously in the gym, like sparring and stuff, and you just get rattled so much. It's definitely not as good, not as bad for your, like, fighting bare knuckles, not as bad for your brain as gloves. 100%.
100% agree. You know, I've took too many punches in gloves, thousands of punches over the years in sparring. You know, and even in that sparring, you know, it doesn't even matter if they're putting full swing on it or not. Some punches just connect differently.
Yes, yeah.
And the ones that you don't see always rattle you the most. And it's that we call it the black smell. It's like a funny thing what happens to you when you get rattled with a glove on. You know, and it's like you get a metallic taste and you get a flash and you know you've been hit.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's the cushion that makes your brain rattle. You know, it's a very different feeling. You know, and I said it before the mic's gone as well, but I remember looking at your hands afterwards and thinking, no wonder I'm cut to ribbons, you know what I mean? Your knuckles are like blades, you know what I mean? But that goes back to what you're saying. Yeah. It's on the surface. Yeah. It's like superficial. You get gashed, you get things, but you know, your brain doesn't rattle as
10
much.
10 days later, I healed up, stitches out, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're sweet, do you know what I mean?
Of course, mate. So, any fighting plans for the future? You know, you're too bothered.
Are you calling me out, Danny?
You know, not quite
Are you
yet.
calling me out?
I'll make a YouTube video in a couple of days, you'll see. Nah, mate.
No, do you know what? Like I said to you earlier on, mate, I have been in talks with them. I've got a contract, a fight left on my contract. I would love... I only want one more fight, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I say that, you win, you always want another one, don't you? But, like, I would love a real good fight. Like, that, what we had, 5 rounds would be lovely. Do you know, if they let us fight again, like I say, if I had a proper fight camp and we had a fight again or someone equal to that, it's like, what's your fight? I wouldn't want to train for a fight and then that happen. Yeah. You're a bit like, I've got a nice pay packet, but... fuck me, I just put 12 weeks into that. And that's why I didn't mind fighting you on short notice, because I thought, I ain't got to put much into it. I'm getting paid, like, sweet. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that'd be a fucking fan.
Absolutely.
That'd be a fan,
100%.
you know.
Especially after the way the first one went, you know, who wouldn't want to watch it, you know?
Oh, listen, you working on your clinch game and me working on my boxing. Yeah. Listen.
Bingo, mate.
Fuck me, that's a 5-rounder.
Absolutely, mate. You know, I never say never.
I think I'll book myself into hospital pre-fight. For sure. Class. But, no, you know, or something on that level. It's something that I knew I'd get a good fight out of. But they need to let me know now, because I think if I settle into retirement again, like I wouldn't have an 18 months off like I did before.
Do you tick over little bits of training? No,
I'm all or nothing.
Nothing.
Like,
you still look pretty trim.
I'm too busy, so like I'm busy being a dad. Do you know what I mean? I'm busy being a fiance, doing all my fiance duties. Yeah. You know, I'm like a family man now. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying it. I love it. And I just don't think I could go back to all day, every day training. Do you know what I mean? And when you're busy, it's like, why am I going to the gym for 2 hours when I could be going to do that? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And at this time of my life, doing the other is more important. Yeah. You know, so you know, I would put 12 weeks aside for a good matchup, and it would go down in history, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And listen, you whether you do or whether you don't,
Yeah.
you know, you've achieved, you know, quite a
listen,
lot in your MMA career. You know,
if that's my last fight ever with you, then you know what a fight to go out on. You know,
absolutely.
it's a fight that I never had in my MMA career.
Yeah,
you know, I wanted that stand and bang with someone else that was willing to stand and bang, and you know, I got it. So
brilliant, mate. So outside of fighting, you know, plans moving forward. You know, what you got big. I know you. Listen, mate, I know you do okay in that, but I'm on about, you got any big plans, big goals, big aspirations? You're working towards anything? You're just coasting?
Going back to the whole army thing, like, I was going to do my 22 years, I wanted to be retired by the time I was like 42.
Yeah.
That's always been, I watched my mum get sick at 50, 52 and die at like 57, 58, 58. She worked her whole fucking life for nothing, do you know what I mean? That's the way I see it, and I've seen lads die young, I've seen lads injured young, and I just think I want to live my life, and obviously, you know, you can't just live your life without money, so I'm grafting now for the next few years. I've just built a couple of houses that are going through at the moment. I've been moving down to Somerset where Georgie lives. She's got a tattoo shop and stuff, so I always tick over and do bits and bobs, but work till I'm 40, flip a few more properties, have a bit of passive income, and just enjoy the rest of my life. You've got to live, man. This day and age, everyone's living in depression. Listen, sometimes I'm depressed. I mean, I can't leave the house and stuff. But as a country, and especially this time of year, it's fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Like, people literally just graft for a night out of the weekend, and night out to the weekend ain't enough for me. Do you know what I mean? I want to see the world. I want to do bits. I want to show my kids what's out there, because. You know, this UK lifestyle is not for me. You know, you need to enjoy life. You need to live, and if you're not enjoying living, fucking change it.
Yeah,
simple.
Yes, mate, big time.
Do you know what I mean?
You know, you mentioned briefly, you know, that you'd done a bit of work with mental health and that, and some stuff. You know, helping, aiding, and supporting, you know, people who do suffer. You know, any plans for that for the future? You know, I know. Sort of regarding your diagnosis, regarding, you know, helping people.
I've recently just done a charity thing for a charity called Calm, for people living miserably and stuff like that. So, since I left the army, I've done a few charity things. Like, I've rode from the Eiffel Tower to London Bridge, and fucking, you know, anything that comes up. And you know, or if anyone's listening wants to do some charity, I'm always up for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, makes you feel good, right? Do you know what I mean? Giving back to other people and stuff. So
absolutely. You know, do you? I know you've got a family, and I can see you've got a strong bond, and I can, you know, I know you're a family man, mate. I can tell that you emit that. But you know, how do you go about, you know, handling your condition when it's at its worst? Are you any part of sort of, dare I say, fellowship, or how do you speak to any other like-minded people, similar diagnosis?
Do you know what? It is fucking really hard. It's just the invisible injury. Do you know what I mean? Lads come back from Afghan with their legs blown off, and you know, they get help, and they get, you know, sympathy, and they get, people understand, right? Do you know what I mean? Or try and understand at least. But people dealing with PTSD or any mental health, you know, if they've got a smile on their face, everyone thinks they're happy, right? Do you know what I mean? You just don't know what's going on there. Lucky enough for me, I've got good people around me. My sister, Donna, she is. I think she made a secret pact with my mum when she died to look after me. But she, you know, she's like my mum. Do you know what I mean? She looks after me like that, and she knows me from one mood to another. Obviously, Georgie, do you know what I mean? We've known each other like coming on 18 months. And I think she's getting used to the mood swings and the. No, it's just some people relate to it. Do you know what I mean? And can understand it and stuff. My kids, I don't really get it around my kids. They're sort of a big saviour for me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? My son, I have him like half the time, like 50% of the time. My oldest daughter lives with me full time. Yeah. So she's sort of used to the it's not so much mood swings, it's like
up and down.
People know when you're distant or not. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard for me to explain. It's like, you know, if it's that easy to explain, everyone would understand it. But it's like, sometimes you're just not there, you're distant, or sometimes I won't sleep, or do you know what I mean? Or I won't sleep, so I'll be a rat ass the next day. So she'll go, you didn't sleep last night, all right, cool. Yeah. You know, it's just having people that understand around you. And, you know, my coach, Eric Uresk, he's actually a life coach now. He'd been there and done it and seen it, and, you know, he's had his own traumas. He understands. He's a real good guy to speak to. Like, anyone who's suffering any mental health or something, get him on Instagram, The Real Gentleman, I think it is, Eric Uresk.
Yeah.
Like I've spoke to a lot of psychiatrists, like countless amounts, and he's just on another level of understanding, you know. So when it gets real bad, I'll give him a ring.
Yeah.
For like a pick me up or whatever. It's hard. It's hard to just ring someone and go, mate. Like,
well, we're men, aren't we?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, I'm just, I'm lucky. I haven't got many people around me because I just don't like people. With a handful of people I have got around me, I'll do anything for, and they do anything for me, and they're understanding. Do you know what I mean? And I'm blessed for that. Do you know what I mean? I'm grateful. So I'm very lucky in that respect.
Yeah, you are.
But for people that haven't got that, there are charities out there, and there are, you need to just pick up the phone because sometimes that's all it is. My friend, a very good friend of mine, committed suicide 3 weeks before our fight. 5 weeks before our 5 weeks before our fight.
Yeah.
His funeral was 3 weeks before the fight. Mate, everyone thought he was sound.
Yeah.
Smile on his face. I knew different. I was speaking to him because he obviously knew what I went through, so we were having that communication. But it got too much for him, and he took his own life. And now I presented people to him for him to call and contact and stuff like that, and he didn't. And in hindsight, I wish he had, and I'm sure he would have wished he'd had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's no joke. It's serious. So just pick up the phone, even if it's to me. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone. Like I think the same thing happened to Paddy Pimblett, and his friend died before his fight, and he said the same thing. I'd rather listen to one of my mates crying down the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning than having to go to your fucking funeral.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So people need to normalise blokes talking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, mate. And I think people who don't talk and people who haven't spoke for a while, or people who are keeping this stuff inside, for whatever reasons, the whole spectrum and multitude of reasons why they won't be talking. But I know from my own experiences, and I can only speak from that, but I can imagine other people will identify that when you do speak, when you do reach out, you do get relief. For sure, what I mean? It doesn't. Problems don't go away, but you get a relief. You know what I mean? You do get a relief, and the reality of it is, like you say, suicides are an all-time high in men. And that's the reality of it. Keeping things in and not reaching out and doing the suggested things. That can be the end game for you.
I'd always say, look, if you want to kill yourself, give yourself 24 hours. If you want to do it tomorrow, then that's up to you. But it's normally that instant thing and that not having someone to talk to and that not reaching out. So people need to reach out, man.
Yeah. Anything outside of that you communicate? You're into communication with your people. I know that you've mentioned that, but anything outside that? Any yogic practices? Any meditation? Anything like that you're into, mate?
Do you know what? I was and still am probably the worst professional athlete you'll ever meet. My Instagram used to make me look great, but I'm like, nah, I don't do shit. Nah. If I've got a fight, I'll train for it and I'll give it 1,000,000%, and I'll train up and I'll turn up and I'll fucking fight.
Yeah.
As you know, do you know what I mean? And as everyone has fought, we all know. But unless I've got a fight or in a career, I just cannot give it any time or time of day. It's like, I can't meditate for an hour because I've got emails to send.
Yeah.
An hour of sending emails and working will benefit my life more than meditating. I will meditate when I'm 42 and retired on a beach, biffed up.
Class, man.
But I live a million miles an hour, and ADHD'd out my head, obviously. And I'm way too active for that right now. Yeah.
Anyone back home, mate, you want to shout out? I'm sure you've got a lot of people behind you, people that's helped you along the way,
do you know what? My people that are behind me know they're behind me, and they don't even fucking need thanking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're tight. I've got my pal that was out on Thursday, and his missus. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, my missus, my sister, my brother-in-law. That's really, and I've got a couple of best friends. That's really about it.
Yeah.
I keep my circle so small.
Yeah, that's a
the
good
world.
thing.
There's too many snakes out there.
Yeah.
And trust is hard. Trust is hard nowadays. Do you know what I mean? Social medias and the temptations in life and the bullshit and the people not happy with what you're doing, so they're trying to shit on you. Mate. And to be honest, I come off Instagram as well. I only went back on for our fight, and I've only come back on there last week for this, actually, to be honest. But get it out there and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like it takes over your life too much. I feel like social media is the collapse of our time.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Mate, I agree. You know,
it's good for business, but if you ain't promoting yourself, like, because yourself as a fighter, you are a business, right? You promote yourself. Jordan promotes herself. She's a tattooist. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think, why are you looking at everyone's shit? Why are they looking at your shit? Like, how is that?
I couldn't agree more.
Understand it.
I couldn't agree more. I spoke to someone who's cleverer than me, very different mindset to what I have, to what, you know, sort of above and beyond the mindset. Someone I would sort of aspire to, you know. And I was told to get the balance, and I like to think I've got the balance. You know, I've got a busy, active life as well. You know, I've got 5 beautiful kids who I've loved to bits, but best place I've ever been in with them all. You know, made a lot of amends. The main amends I've got, you know, is staying clean. Yeah. But the balance, I think, needs to be right when it comes to social media. You've got all this, everything that's going on, everything that doesn't help anyone's head, these unachievable levels of beauty and that and all that stuff. It's bad for kids. But for me, I think I've got the balance just right. Social media maybe takes up 2% tops of my life. Yeah. But yet now I'm fortunate enough for it to make up about 40% of my income. That's the balance for me. Yeah, that's the balance for me. You know, but
if you're strong enough to go sober like you have, you know, that, I'm picking up the phone, but like, that is an addiction. Yeah, that's as bad as drinks, as bad as brown, as bad as anything. 110%. And like, you know, you're obviously strong enough to put the drink down, and you're done the same with your phone. Yeah. You know, I just think that the way it's affecting kids and shit, like my daughter and stuff, like myself. If I need to check myself, I'm like an addict. Exactly, I'm on it for no reason. I'm thinking, I'll put it down 2 seconds later, I'm picking it up.
I know not to do that. It's the same with drinking everything. On a personal level, I know not to do that. If I check one comment, if I check one video, mate, I'm 3 hours later.
One drink.
I'm down the rabbit hole 3 hours later. Do you know what I mean? I can't do it. Yeah. Brilliant, mate. Listen, I want to thank you again for coming up. You. We're going to go for some food in a minute. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, mate. You know, we'll go and grab some grub and that. And, you know, we'll see how the afternoon goes. Yeah, man. Pleasure, mate.
I'm not fighting. I don't. You like to see how the afternoon
goes. Rematch outside. Yeah.
Yeah, nice one, mate.
Thank you, my man. Brilliant.